Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So I completed the first 3 books of the God of Malice series. I believe there are 6. And so I wanted to come back on here and share my thoughts on the first 3 books, as I had mentioned I would do. If you hear my dog in the background, he's right here laying down next to me, so he may make some noise. But anyway, spoiler alert. So if you plan to read the series and you don't want to know who the author pairs up, you probably shouldn't be listening to this video at all. I'm starting the 4th book now. I'm about, I don't know, 2 chapters in. So I just started it. But okay, so if you can recall from my first video that I started talking about this book series, I mentioned that it's very intense, and you know a book is going to be intense when the author writes a disclaimer at the beginning of the book. And it's the beginning of each book. I'm trying to remember, I probably should go grab it from my Kindle. Okay, so I grabbed my Kindle, and just to read the author's note at the beginning, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but basically, if you're new to my books, you might not know that I write darker stories that can be intense, unsettling, and even disturbing. My characters and their journeys defy societal norms and aren't meant for everyone. So this book contains things like primal, kink, dubcon, and mentions of sexual assault, things like that. So basically, if it's very triggering for you, it's probably not the book for you. But I did also want to share who the author was, because I think that's important. So the author of this book, it's Rena Kent, and again, I'm on book 4. So if you like, you know, sort of like it's not a terribly slow burn, and not some of them. I think the one that I'm reading right now, book 4, is more of like an enemies to lovers, which I really like too. But the first book, it's like the male character, his name's Killian. He's like a sociopath. But they're all like college students, and they go to these colleges, Brighton Island in the UK, and there are like rival schools. So they call it the King's U's College, which is like university, and that is made up of the Americans. They go there, and then the Royal Elite University are the rich British kids that go there. And so it's basically, they have these clubs on each of these universities, and they're intense. It's not like fun sorority or fraternity club rush. It's much more intense than that, a little more violent than that. And it's how they interact and how they create these relationships with each other. I don't want to give away too much, but I do want to share my opinions on them. So the first book, I was very unsure, and I understood what was meant by it was pretty intense, almost like too intense to read. And it kind of started off that way, where I was like, what am I getting myself into? And then as I continued to read it, I actually really enjoyed the first book, in the sense that, you know, the main guy, his name's Killian in that book, and you know, the way that the author just described him as, you know, very good looking, very smart, but almost like emotionless. There was just something about that was intriguing, and to see his journey in this relationship with this girl named Glendon. Yes, Glendon. Sorry, I had to look it up. I don't know about you guys, but I mean, I've read so many books, but I feel like once I've finished that book and I move on to the next, I almost forget about the last book. But what's cool about this series is that they're all connected. Like, they all know each other. You could read the books as a standalone, but it's about the same people, but then it just focuses on different couples in the book. So that part kind of makes it interesting and cohesive. But so the first book really captured my attention. I really enjoyed it, and I liked seeing the development of their relationship. Sorry if you hear my dog in the background. He's rubbing his back, and I guess it must feel really good because he's making a lot of noises. So I like the first book a lot. Obviously, so much so to then jump into the second book. Now, the second book I also enjoyed, but kind of not as much as the first and the third book. And I feel like for me, it was because with the male character, lead character in that book, his name is Creighton. For some reason, it was a little bit, it didn't feel as natural, the relationship that was created between him and Annika, who is the main female character, the lead female character in that book. So for me, that part it didn't feel as natural of a progression into that relationship. So I almost felt like I had to kind of, I don't know, force myself to understand that relationship or say, oh yeah, that could work. So that one, it was kind of hit or miss for me. With that, I mean, I get where the author was going with it, but out of the 3 that I've read so far, it was my least favorite. But again, it was still a very interesting read and it kept me engaged, but it wasn't to the caliber as the first book. And then the third book I really liked. And the third book had to do with Jeremy and Cecily, and I really liked the development of that relationship. And I really liked how Rena Kent had their story go, and it felt much more believable as far as that, for the most part. There was a lot of stalking and things like that, which is that's just how the book goes, and that's part of the intensity of it. But I'm like, I feel like someone like that character would be far too busy to be stalking somebody. But anyway, but I still liked it just as much as the first one. I'm really being really careful. I don't want to give away too much of these stories. One, I want to make sure that I respect, the author, and that I don't give away too much, but also respect you guys if you're interested in reading these books. I don't want to, give away what happens. So I'm trying to be mindful of that as I sort of share my thoughts and my feelings on these books. So I really liked book 3 as well. Again, it just felt not realistic, but it just felt more natural as far as how the relationship progressed, and like more like that could happen with some extra elements where it still takes you into a world that maybe doesn't feel so real life, but in a good way. Like you're excited to jump back in with the characters and see what happens next. So I really liked the third book as well. And like I said, I just started the 4th book, which is God of Ruin. And so that's going to be Landon's story, and it's looking like it's going to be Nia's story as well. So that's interesting because you never know who the author is going to like pair up. So I'm really excited to see where that goes, because Landon is a lot like Killian, who was from book 1, who was sort of like the sociopath and had some like psychopathic tendencies. So we'll see where this goes for someone like that to find a relationship. So I don't know. I mean, I have my thoughts on books like these where I feel like they have to be taken with a grain of salt and looked at as entertainment only, because the relationships in these books I would not consider healthy at all, and a relationship that somebody shouldn't try to emulate, but at the same time it's very entertaining. So I think it's important, again, to just sort of take things with a grain of salt and just take them for entertainment value only. That's just my thoughts on books like these, even though I love reading them and they're so entertaining and it's kind of fun to just get away. And that's what's great about reading and fantasies and things like that, is that it's a way to maybe explore that world without having to live it because it could be very traumatic, it could be very unrealistic. I like to read romanticises too, so there's a lot of fantasy, and there's fae, and there's creatures of not of this realm, and so it just wouldn't be possible to live that in this world that we live in now. But to be able to read and escape to those worlds, that part is what's really cool about reading, really. So that was my take on the first 3 books of the God of Malice series. Again, I have been enjoying them. I am starting book 4, so I'm excited to see where that one goes. But as I continue to read more books, I will definitely share with you guys my thoughts and what I liked about them, you know, with the caveat that it could be a potential spoiler alert. So I would just make sure that you're either comfortable with, you know, hearing what I have to say if you decide you want to read the book, or if you haven't read the book yet, or if, you know, if it helps you to decide to read the book, whatever it is. But, you know, just in case, I don't want to spoil anything for anybody if they want to read these books on their own. So just a, you know, warning at a time for future videos where I'm sharing my thoughts on books, because I have read so many, and so many times I'm like, oh, I want to share this with somebody. And now that I am starting to vlog more on this channel, I'm so excited that I get to do that with you guys. So, you know, if you guys have read any of these books that you know, you want to share your thoughts, please do so in the comments. Any other books that you want to recommend, if I haven't read them yet, I'd love to add them to my TBR, which is to be read, list. But I do have a few series that I've started that I haven't gotten back into, because it's just, again, it's sort of like I have to be feeling it, and I'm okay with stopping a book in the middle if I'm like, you know, I'm not going to force myself through it if I don't want to. But yeah, I've just fallen in love with reading, so I'm excited to share with you guys what I've found, and you guys please feel free to do the same. So with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and end the vlog here. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in and for you know, being here while I share my thoughts on the first 3 books of the God of Malice series by Rena Kent. And again, been enjoying them so far a lot. So yeah, I just was excited to and happy to share that with you guys. And I'll share with you guys too if I didn't really like something at all. Even if I stopped reading it, I'm happy to share that too. But I know everybody's different. You know, one of you guys might love something that I DNF'd, just did not finish. And that's okay. You know, just like there's something I may love, like these series, and some of you guys may be like, like, no way, that is way too intense or too triggering. So totally get it. We all have our different tastes, but what's nice is being able to share and then deciding what we like and what we don't. Thanks again for tuning in, guys, and like and subscribe if you like this video and you want to see more or hear more from me. Otherwise, I will talk to you guys in my next one. Bye!